Alright guys, it's Fallen One here. Today we're going to talk about stuff that are Resident Evil based. Stuff like which way it's going, do you like where it's going, the past games, how the mechanics worked in the games, and acted in those games, along with the high points of the lore. Now let's get started. With Resident Evil 8 on the horizon, and the information that's been released about the game, we can agree that this might be Capcom's biggest and riskiest play to date with the Resident Evil series. Resident Evil has been their crowning jewel for a long time. What I know, and I hope it's not the case, we have no virus in this game. We have werewolves and vampires, but nothing to do with a virus. Or so that's what we are led to believe. I have a theory on this, and my theory is that the game has a virus. Yes, it has a virus. In it, we see Lady Dimitrescu has tyrant abilities. She has those abilities. She can grow her fingers. She is really tall, almost tyrant tall. And even her children have abilities that follow some kind of virus. It could be it's some kind of new virus that's going on, because Marguerite in Resident Evil 7 had the same kind of ability where she controlled the bugs, and we see in the maiden demo that one of her daughters actually controls bugs. As for Chris being a bad guy in the trailers that we've seen, I don't think this is true. I don't believe it for 1 second this is true, and let me tell you why. Now, this is not a stretch to think that Ethan is either psychedelically messed up from the mold from Resident Evil 7, because we don't see him actually get a cure, or it's some kind of new virus that he's been injected with that alters his mind as well. So my theory is that after Resident Evil 7, Ethan joins either the BSAA or Blue Umbrella to combat bioterrorism, as in all the main protagonists in the story does. I also believe Mia turned on her organization and joined whatever group Ethan joined, because they're together and they're married and everything. Now, it's out of character for Chris to kill someone for no reason. Well, I don't think we've ever seen him kill anybody besides Wesker. That's yeah. Since Resident Evil 1, Chris Redfield has always been deemed a hero. I don't see him switching sides now, because what's the point of switching sides on him now? Why would a United States Air Force member and a member of the elite group known as STARS betray everything they believed in now? It makes no sense. I don't see a reason for Chris to become the bad guy now. I can see him retiring, because he's pretty up there in age now. He's getting older, and you can see in the trailer he looks pretty old. I can see him retiring, but I don't see him actually betraying anybody. I mean, after all the years of fighting terrorism, why would he do it now? Look at Resident Evil 1. He went through that whole issue trying to uncover the truth about Umbrella in the Umbrella Mansion. He was trying to combat it even back then. He was trying to be a good person. He was trying to protect and serve his job. He, along with Jill, were two founding members of the BSAA. That if he was going to turn bad, he would know that he would have to go against his friends. It would make no sense for him to do that. In Resident Evil 7, there is no even a hint of him becoming a turncoat or anything. When Resident Evil 1 starts, they're trapped in a mansion. Chris has to do his best to try and stop this virus from spreading to Raccoon City. The best he can. Through that journey, he saves Rebecca Chambers' life. He forgives Barry for being a traitor. And if you play through Chris' route, he saves Jill. All of them combat the T2 tyrant. And with a well-placed rocket launcher shot, it's killed. Following the events of Resident Evil 2 and 3, Chris has left Raccoon City, where he's trying to uncover Umbrella's secret experiments like the ones in Raccoon City. Now, during this time, Claire does not know this. Claire Redfield, his sister, does not know that he has left Raccoon City and she is coming to find him because she has lost contact with him or she's just coming to visit. I can't remember the whole details of that. In Code Veronica, though, she is captured by Umbrella for sneaking into one of their bases, trying to find Chris, which Umbrella knows about Chris. Chris is on their high in view. They're hunting him or they're in search of him or something in Code Veronica. She sends that information to Leon, who Leon gives it to Chris to find, to go to an island that she is on to get to him. To get to save her. You follow me so far? Just keep up. Not long after he gets the island, he discovers Wesker is on the island attempting to procure the virus that's on there, the T Veronica virus, which was created with the T virus in the Veronica cells, aka T Veronica virus, a stronger version of the T virus. In the end, Chris defeats Wesker, stopping him from obtaining the virus, destroying it completely. Our hero returns in Resident Evil 5, where he combats Neo Umbrella, created by Wesker with this new virus called Ouroboros, where he once again is combated with Wesker. His best friend, Jill Valentine, is brainwashed and he still tries to save her. He does not try to kill her, he tries to save her. Where in that game, he does his best to save Jill's life. He is riddled with guilt because he thinks Jill has died through that whole game. When he saves her and she tells him that Wesker is about to destroy the world with his Ouroboros, Wesker is stopped by Chris in a lava where he's shot with a rocket launcher and killed. That we know of. Once again, Chris returns in Resident Evil 6. This time he's leading the team on the front lines against the new virus in that game. I do not believe there's any doubt in my mind Chris Redfield is a terrorist or has joined any terrorist organization to go against him. I do not believe that. He would just up and betray everyone that he cared about. I do not believe he would kill Mia for no reason. There's no doubt in my mind that he did not kill them. He did not. There's no way he could have done that. There's no logical reason for him to do that. There would be no reason, because he is the hero of the story. Leon is there, yes, Leon is a hero, but he is not the hero. He is kind of like a secondary hero. Like Jill is a secondary hero. I would love for them to be in more games, but Chris Redfield is the main hero of these stories so far. We are playing as Ethan right now. In Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8, we are playing as Ethan. But that does not make him the main hero. He's just the hero of that story. Of this episode, or whatever you want to call it. He's just that hero for now. In the overall scheme, Capcom has put Chris Redfield on top of the world of this universe. He has punched boulders. He has destroyed boulders. He has made his mark. Everyone knows the meme of him punching a boulder. He is the boulder punching Chris Redfield. Everyone knows this meme. It's not anything hidden. It's nothing that we don't know about. Now, as for the games themselves, there is a lot of the games. Resident Evil 1 through Code Veronica had fixed camera angles and tank controls. Those games fit that. They fit that type of playing style. They weren't big worlds that were needed to be explored over the shoulder. They weren't huge. They were linear gameplay video games that you played. You went through an area. It wasn't a big area. Now, if they did a remake of them, I would like it to be over the shoulder, more in depth with the areas, because that would be really amazing to see. That would be awesome, in my opinion, to see a Code Veronica remake. Or it could just be a remaster for all I care, because I love the story of Code Veronica. That was a really great story, and Over the Shoulder would make that game a lot more interesting to me. As the games expanded, the tank controls and fixed camera angles were no more because they could not deal with them. The worlds were becoming too depth, they were becoming too big for them to work, to like actually be able to do that. So Over the Shoulder was second option. That's a really good option in my opinion. So Capcom has been building this world. They've been changing their mechanics up. They've been changing their style of game up. You got the Virus was released trilogy, released for the trilogies. You got when the Apocalypse, quote unquote Apocalypse, started. Secret Organizations trilogy kind of thing going on with Wesker and the Lost Plagas from Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 6. Yeah, 6. Where you had to deal with those, what's his name? Simmons. Yeah, it was Simmons. Where he was like shadowy organization trying to take the world over kind of thing. Now that was that's what I'm getting out of it. They make trilogies out of these, and they're really interesting trilogies. The remakes themselves, if they remade Code Veronica, I really hope they would stick to the story. The remakes were good, yes, and it stuck to the Apocalypse start. It stuck to their guns. Nemesis could have been better in Resident Evil 3. I could have felt more of a looming threat, which I will get to that in a minute. But overall, they learned from their mistakes. Resident Evil 5. They learned and they grew up. They matured with their mechanics. Now I could feel like these games could be scarier. I really feel like they could. I really feel like they could be a lot more scarier than they were. Like, bring me a threat. Bring me a threat about me. Bring a threat to me. Try to take me out with a threat, a looming threat. I want to be able, because I'm going to be in first person in this game. I want to feel the threat. When Resident Evil 8 is released, I want to feel Lady Dimitrescu breathing down my neck. I hope they do something where she's breathing down my neck. Where the only time I feel safe is when I'm in a safe room. Or have her children breathing down my neck, where I feel like I'm going to die if I do not do stuff quick. Where I gotta stay on my toes. I feel like if I had a looming threat that would just non-stop chase you. When you're in a safe room, they're outside looking at you, or for a couple seconds they're watching you from a window or something before leaving. Like scary kind of stuff like that, because you're in first person. That will terrify you. Like, that would probably make me jump. If I got into a safe room, knowing that the people could not get out and come in and kill me or anything, but if I turned around, I see them just right there at the door. I seen their face, their breath, just like, I'm coming to kill you. Then that would make me like, I don't want to leave this safe room. I don't want to leave this safe room. Another interesting idea they could do, and this is a really idea that I think would be cool. They did it in Resident Evil Remake 2 and 3, but only for one safe room. I would like to have, but it'd be cool to have it like in several different safe rooms in Resident Evil 8. Is that the safe rooms aren't safe? Like we could have a safe room that's safe, but not all of them. Where we feel safe and then we turn around, right there they are. They're grabbing us by our throat, picking us up and just killing us, or BAM! Biting into us or something. That would be scary to see. Because you'd be thinking, oh, I'm safe. Let me catch my breath real quick, and then BAM! Right there they are. Just getting you. That would be scary to people. That would bring a horror feel that they have not felt in a while with the Resident Evil game back into the game. Bring back the threat that won't let up. That you don't feel 100% safe even in a safe room. Another thing I would like for them to do, but it's not a game breaker or a deal breaker for me, would be to bring back a Wesker. Now in Revelations 2, it was mentioned that there were several Wesker children. Only 2 survived. That we know of. They could change us down the line. But only 2 children survived. Alex Wesker and Albert Wesker. Alex Wesker found a way to make herself immortal by putting her mind, I guess you could say, her mind and her thoughts and her ambitions into Natalia, the little girl that was adopted by Barry. Which Barry, he's old. He's retired probably. So it would be an interesting little homage or something to have Barry, who's always been a family person, who's always been about family, come to this little girl's rescue who's now probably an adult. And he does not know better. This was only the first step. It would be an interesting way to go about it, with Ethan trying to convince Barry that, hey, your foster daughter is evil. Must put her down. And Barry having to struggle with that emotion to put her down or to kill Ethan. The struggle would be there. And it would be great to see Barry back. Now the organization that we do not know about that Mia worked for in Resident Evil 7, that could be Alex, her organization, because Albert Wesker worked from the shadows until Resident Evil 5. He was always in the shadows working. He had Ada go to Resident Evil 4's village and take the Las Plagas. He was working in the shadows. He was not on the front lines. He was not being seen by anybody. He was working from the shadows to build up his organization. And the organization would be perfect because we do not know their intentions. It's been very vague in Resident Evil 7 what these intentions are for this organization. There has been several organizations in the past that has gone about trying to take over the world with some new virus. Revelations had Virgo, Umbrella, Neo Umbrella. That's just to name 3. But it always comes back to, for one, it being an Umbrella thing. It's been some person that worked with Umbrella or was involved with Umbrella at some point. And there's a chance that Alex could be behind all of it, and I would really like to see Alex being behind it, or some Wesker child, because both of them have had ambitions. Albert wanted to be a god, wanted to rule the world. Alex wanted to be immortal. And that would be an interesting thing. Alex becoming immortal, she's trying to take over the world now because she's learned to be immortal. Now all she's got left is to take over the world.
I think I'm getting in trouble here.
You see, as it goes on, it would be a great idea. Now let me talk about the games themselves. I touched on them. I didn't go into detail on them. I'm going to start from Resident Evil 0. Resident Evil 0, where it all started. Progenitor virus. The tyrant, the progenitor tyrant. Everything about that game was fun to me. Tank controls, the fixed camera angles, even the fact that you could drop stuff and it wouldn't disappear. I would like to see Rebecca and Billy at least in the online mode. The online mode was cool. Reverses is an interesting idea. It doesn't have to be lore based. It doesn't have to be anything really fancy smancy. It's just a mindless game about killing each other, becoming a zombie if you die. All there is to it. It's a fun game if you want to kill some time. I liked it. I enjoyed it. A lot of people might blast me for that, but I enjoyed it. Now, if those two did make an appearance again in a base game, in the main game, I wouldn't want it to be Resident Evil 8. I would like it to hint that Billy and Rebecca are going to return like Resident Evil 9 or DLC for Resident Evil 8. But I don't want them like in the story because I feel like they'd just be there for a couple minutes and then done. That would make me sad. Because those are some nice characters. They had some interesting story. And I know Rebecca's been in the animated movies recently. But I'm talking about game-wise. We haven't seen Billy in anything since Resident Evil 0. When he left Rebecca, Rebecca went to the Resident Evil 1 mansion. There was nothing. After that, there was nothing. There's been nothing said about him. Nothing even mentioned about him. He could go under a different name. And that would be cool. Under a different name, but we know it's Billy. He has like PTSD or something from the memories. He remembers stuff. Like Chris did in Resident Evil 6. When he had his PTSD moment. Where he remembered what quote unquote Ada did to him and his crew. And they all died. How he got upset because his PTSD kicked in. Well, that would be an interesting little twist. He suffers from PTSD because of the virus, because of the progenitor virus back then. He suffered from it tremendously or something. It'd be a little homage, like, oh yeah, Resident Evil 0, it exists, people. Now, transferring to Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 1, the game that started it all. The game that everybody loves, that I know of. It's a really fun game. Really great. The puzzles are difficult. They made me scratch my head more than once. I love the puzzles in that game. No doubt in my mind that Resident Evil 1 is probably in everyone's best games of all time list. Resident Evil. It had its moments where it was good, and it had its moments where it was bad. but overall the game was good. The story was great. The idea that you could play two different stories that go along each other really well. You could when they remade it, it was the exact same. Just was higher resolution. That's how much Capcom loved the game. Now, the story where Chris and them all just mysteriously end up in there with it was actually planned by Wesker. That's kind of a stretch. I mean, it's kind of a stretch. But hey, it's a game. I can't complain and nitpick too much on it. Because I mean, it is a game, so it could happen. Now, Resident Evil 2. Leon and Claire fall into Raccoon City. Raccoon City is falling apart. It is destroyed. Zombies everywhere. It's like, how did you get past the barrier there? Because there would have been a barrier keeping them up. Again, I'm nitpicking because I love this game. I'm nitpicking it. I need to stop that. But it's fine. The story of Resident Evil 2 was great. The characters were lovable. The characters were memorable. You got Sherry, a little girl whose father turned into a huge ass monster and tried to kill her and turn her into one of them, but didn't, because Claire and Leon stepped in and stopped it. You got the introduction of Ada and Leon's relationship, which if anyone believes that they don't need to be together, they're wrong. They are like 100% shipped together. They have to be. I don't see another way around it. They have to be shipped together, because that little flirt relationship they got going on, there's no way around it. Not in my opinion. In Resident Evil 3, it takes a during, after, and before Resident Evil 2. It's one of those works around Resident Evil 2 story, and that's pretty interesting. They could do something like that for Resident Evil 9, where it works around the story of Resident Evil 8, or works around the events or something. I don't know. That would be a nice little theory, a little thrown in idea. And then we get to Resident Evil 4. Okay. I'm gonna skip Code Veronica for now, but we get to Resident Evil 4, one of the main titles. Leon has sent to this village to find the president's daughter that he just started working for. So you know something's wrong right there. As he fights his way through this village, he realizes that they took the president's daughter so she could go back to America and spread the Las Plagas disease under Sadler's control. Having flashback right now of Leon, help! God, I'm pretty sure anyone who's played that game can hear her voice in their head. And they're getting flashbacks. It's scary. It's terrifying. I know. But that's not the point. The point is the story. Leon cures himself and cures Ashley, the president's daughter. After that game, she's never heard of again. He does not protect her that I know of. That I don't think he even mentions her in Resident Evil 6. But we'll get to Resident Evil 6 in a minute. Resident Evil 5. Chris Redfield is sent to Africa with a new partner, Shava Amara. Might have been butchering that name. Shava is the BSAA's member in Africa and Chris's partner for this whole journey. This was the first game that they added a AI that could fight with you, and it did not go well. You were literally playing with a handicap, and you were playing with this AI. It was that horrible. The AI was not good. You could lose a little bit of health and they would instantly heal you. They could lose a little bit of health and they would instantly heal themselves. So you would be hoarding all the damn green herbs. And then the ammo situation, you'd have to hoard all the ammo because they would waste it. The AI was horrible in that game. I can't see any way to defend it. It was horrible. No way around it. It was very bad. Resident Evil 5 story was not that great either. I felt like Resident Evil 4 but with a reskin on it. It really felt that way. Going on to Resident Evil 6, you had Leon's story, Chris' story, Sherry's story, Sherry Birkin from Resident Evil 2, all grown up, by the way, and Ada Wong's story. Chris' story was all action-packed. It was about him leading a front, having PTSD, leading a front of a team against the bioterrorist organization in that game, and trying to take it down. Doing his best to take it down. Even at the loss of his full team, he still tried. It was a very rough situation for him. But he gets through it. He loses his whole team once again. So if anyone ever has to be on Chris Redfield's team, we're instantly going to have to assume they're going to die. Resident Evil 6 Leon's story. It started out with Leon having to kill the president because he turned into a zombie. It felt like they went back to their roots. A horror-filled moment. Suspenseful. But slowly it turned into action. It slowly turned into nothing but action. And that's sad. The game was great. The game started out really good with a horror for Leon. But when it just became nothing but action, it just felt like a Chris story all over again. The Jake and Sherry story. Jake apparently is Wesker's son, which, who knew? Jake hasn't been mentioned again either. It's like they threw certain characters out the way for no reason. You would think Jake would play a bigger role than he did because there was no mention of him Resident Evil 7 at all. Resident Evil Outbreaks, which I'll get to those in a second too, they were mentioned. And those are cool. I like Outbreak. Really good games. Love them. Now, back to what I was saying. These games were built around horror / action. So there's nothing I can really say about it that was wrong. But stealth wasn't the greatest thing to go with for these games. This game. Resident Evil 6, they shouldn't have went with stealth. But they were experimenting. Like I said, when they experimented, they grew. Which got a little bit better in Resident Evil 7. Not much, but it got a little bit better. That way. But it's still not the greatest. Stealth was not great. And it really felt like you had to be stealthy in Sherry's campaign. Same with Ada's. Ada's was all about her being stealthy and trying to figure out who took her identity, pretty much. And the interesting idea that they threw in there, which I wish they would do more of with their games, is when you're on one campaign, there was an option to play online, which that wasn't the cool part about it. You could play online in Resident Evil 5. I much preferred playing Resident Evil 5 online because I didn't have to worry about someone wasting my ammo all the time or dying on me. But the cool thing was, say someone was playing Chris's story and you interlooped with Leon's story. They connected to your server or you connected to their server and you played simultaneously. You played out your mission while they were playing out their mission at the same time. It was cool. It was a nice idea. The little game modes they had in the game, those were nice. Like you could actually become one of the zombies and try to take down players that were trying to go through the story. That was a nice, cool little idea. They should do something like that again sometime. Not in Resident Evil 8 or 9, mind you, but like something they're gonna put over the head, over the shoulder view again. It'd be nice. It'd be a nice little touch to online modes. Now we're getting into Resident Evil 7. People seem to love this game. I personally thought it was okay. It was scary until you got done with Jack. Once you got done with Jack and got out of the mansion, it wasn't scary anymore. Really wasn't. It was just boring, predictable work, and it was saddening. It really was. But the overall game was good. The story was good. Everything about it was good. Could have been better. I won't lie. Could have been better, but it was good. It was on point with a horror. It was on point and it was good. But I have questions about that game. Why did Mia's organization go to Lucas and not Mia for a cure? Why do that? Like, just back Walter's person over one of our own scientists. Okay, whatever you say, thumbs up. Makes no sense. We'll be going to Resident Evil Code Veronica now. Code Veronica is one of my favorite of all time. Code Veronica goes down in history as one of my favorite for reasons. It starts out with Claire running away from Umbrella's private military was chasing her down. Because she looked up information about Chris on their computer. She snuck into one of their complexes to get information on her brother. She's cornered. She drops her gun, slides down on the ground, and blows up an area, killing all the guards around her. One reason why she's captured is because the guy that she did not see pointed a gun at her head and gave her a choice to drop it or die. So obviously she dropped it. The game starts where you can start playing with you in a jail cell.
I'm surprised it took you that long to find.
And then when you figure out the mechanics and you turn your light on, you see the guy that captured you dying. He's letting you go, says you're free to go. Good luck. And just lays in a chair as he dies. The game kicks off zombie after zombies. Because you're on an Umbrella Island that's being controlled by the T Veronica virus. It's overrun the area, it's running rampant, it's taking over everything. She runs into a guy named Steve. Her and Steve develop a relationship. I honestly believe it's because of Stockholm Syndrome. First person she's seen after being captured, she fell for. That's what I believe. Kind of like Stockholm Syndrome, but not Stockholm Syndrome, if you get what I'm saying. But I believe that's what happened. There's no way you can tell me that she fell in love with him after a day being on that island with him.
Initiating the next test phase.
She contacts Chris. Well, she contacts Leon, actually. Leon contacts Chris. Chris finds the island that the email was sent from, and he starts to scale the side of this mountain. He starts to scale it to save his sister's life. He fights creatures after creatures of experiments and zombies, looking for his sister, not knowing that she's escaped the island already and has landed in an Umbrella facility. Chris is searching this island. He runs into a mansion that Claire has already been in, where he combats Wesker. Wesker, who he believed was dead because the tyrant stabbed him in the chest in Resident Evil 1. This time, he has superpowers. The T-virus that he had injected himself with to save his life had given him the powers of speed, super strength.
The bliss of murder. The relief,
Enter the maiden of the household, Alexia.
shedding another's blood.
She has been cryogenically frozen for years. She created the T Veronica virus and perfected it. The original idea for the T Veronica virus for her and her twin brother to be created,
This guard
and
will not follow
it
orders,
worked.
but still
When they found out about their creation, they killed their father
the key is yours. This moment, there's no
and took over his research. He was killed. They killed him, took his research, and began work on a new virus, codenamed T Veronica.
see what science can give us. Why did
Alexia
you resist me?
injected herself with T Veronica virus and cryogenically froze herself
I
so
only
she
put
could
this here to
control
give you
the
false
virus
hope.
later down the line.
I think I'm getting in trouble here.
And the brother started to develop multiple personality syndrome. He started to believe he was his sister.
Where's the ammo when you need it?
Wore a wig and everything because he was so lonely. And that's the Code Veronica story, really. Chris finds his sister on the facility. He stops Wesker from using the virus, and there we go. That's the end of the game. The cool thing about that game was you had to be strategical about your placement of weapons, ammo,
There should be a pile of you by now.
and everything about that. There's one slip up, your whole run was over. You'd have to start from the very beginning. And it was a pain. Now, Resident Evil Outbreak PS2. Amazing game. It even had the AI where it even gave AI personality.
Get adrenaline spike.
Where if you were playing a certain character, the AI would not go towards that character. That it did not like if a personality did not click. And it was cool. It was a cool little thing. But the game was supposed to be played online. Back then, it wasn't
I don't like being
big for
lost.
online playing. Now it's become bigger. If they remade Outbreak File 2 and Outbreak 1, the game would be a hit.
And cut.
No way would it not be a hit. the game would be crazy. It'd be like super insane what people would play it. I know a lot of people, a lot of groups that I'm on Facebook that would love a remake of Resident Evil Outbreak. I see a lot of people every day talking about how they want a remake of Resident Evil Outbreak. It is a great game. It's an awesome game. No way in my mind would I not want to get a remake of that. And with online play like it is today, that game would shoot for the sky. It would put Resistance and Reverses in check. Resistance was a good game in my opinion as well. There was some issues with it, obviously, but overall I liked the game. Not as much as I liked Reverses. Reverses was really fun to me. I thought it was really unique, really cool, and they learned from their mistake with Reverses. And if they add more mode to Reverses, I say that Reverses learned a lot more from Resistance. Anyways, Reverses, if they add more modes, more characters, and let you create your own little loadout, that game could take off and people would probably play it for a long while. Even though it's a mindless shooter. It would be a cool little game to play. There's no doubt in my mind that the games Resident Evil, everyone knows about them. Everyone knows Resident Evil. Everyone knows something about Resident Evil. Could be Resistance, could be Reverses, could be Resident Evil 8, it could be Lady Dimitrescu, Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, 6, 7. Could be any of it. And as we're on the topic of knowing, I've seen that they added a skipped cutscene / photo mode in Resident Evil 8. I'm confused on why they added a skip cutscene mode. Because you don't play a Resident Evil game without wanting to watch the cutscenes and learn some lore. Like, what's the point of that? It's really weird that they did that. The photo mode could really be good. Cause I've seen games that do really well with photo mode. Resident Evil 8 could be one of them. I could see a community being based around just the photo mode of taking crazy, insane shots. Cause that'd be cool. I would love to be able to go through a little community page, scroll through when this game comes out, and see like Lady Dimitrescu like all black and white with blood running down her or something. Like I could see some cool stuff people would do in photo mode. I would even take a dab at it. I think it would be interesting to do. I would love to try this out. I would love to sit down and play the game, have the lore behind this game, and play with a photo mode. I wouldn't skip no cutscenes because that's crazy. And I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else that I could even say that would prove that this is amazing. I love Resident Evil I love Resident Evil games. Resident Evil has been a passion of mine for years. Nothing has ever wanted me to do like a let's talk like right now. If you even got an idea what they could do in these games, like what kind of role you would want them to take, please in the comments let's talk about it. Like let us talk about it. Because I would love to hear other ideas that's going through people's heads. I'm scatterbrained as heck. I'm tired, it's late at night, and I'm recording this video because I could not wait it off any longer. I want to talk about it. I wanted people to talk about it. I don't want to wait until Resident Evil 8 comes out and this video gets posted up and everything goes wrong. I want to talk about it now. I want the community of Resident Evil. Let's talk about it. We can talk about so much about this lore, everything about it. We could talk about it. I would love to talk about it. I would love to be able to sit down and have a conversation about Resident Evil with somebody. Let's talk about it, guys. If you enjoyed this content, want to see more of it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you don't miss any notifications. This is Fallen One here, and I'm out. Have fun, have a spooky night, or spooky day, no matter, depending on when you're watching this, and having fun. Let's talk about some Resident Evil, people. Goodbye.